Stage 1, pressing for flight.
Launch reactor on countdown 1. We are go for launch.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started. The clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to Pressing for Flight, live from the Space Coast, where the schedule never holds. I am your host, and I will click on my face one time. You will look at me one time, and that's it. I'm Stephen Marr. Thank you very much. To my left, the triumphant return of Stephen Kegel.
I am not Stephen Marr.
he is not Stephen Marr at all. How was your trip to Savannah?
It was old and not scary or haunted as everyone says.
Oh,
we
really?
were in a haunted place that used to be a infirmary during the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
They would just like cut legs off, and they found bones in the bottom of it. I don't know. Nothing ever happened. This is an old creaky building. So ghosts do not exist.
But it like scratched the itch of like seeing like really old school Southern stuff, right?
It was a neat town.
Like houses with pillars on their front porch.
Yeah.
That's what I always picture. I picture Savannah, and I'm like, I'd see like a white pillar on, several white pillars on the front porch with like the little curly things at the top and bottom.
Those are called volutes.
Volutes. Ah, see, that's why we have Matt Jordan on the show.
I was there, and I don't even remember any of this stuff.
Yeah, man. What's up, man? How you doing, man?
What's up? How you guys doing?
Good. We just look. Here's the thing. We really like Matt Jordan, and I was kind of thinking like when we don't have a guest, let's have Matt on because we don't want to get too crowded, but I really like having Matt on. Hopefully soon.
Well, thank you.
We'll have Becca back soon. I think she's got some of her stuff working out with. So we'll get a girl's voice back in here too. But I like having Matt. He's very knowledgeable on things.
You're too kind.
On the flip side, we have Matt Cutshaw.
The flip side.
I'm just kidding, man. What are you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man.
The joke was there. I don't know. It was building, and I had to.
Yeah.
Too many Matts, too many Steves.
Yep. The Steve, Matt show.
I'm gonna break the internet.
So like every week, it's coming like, especially like come like Tuesday, I'm like, man, what are we gonna talk about? What are we gonna talk about on the show? And I'm like, is there really anything to talk about? And then by the time it's showtime, it's like there's just all kinds of stuff to talk about, and we've got a bunch of, like, if you're watching on the stream, you see I've got lots of tabs pulled up here. Some of these are just kind of short little this is happening kind of things, but we're going to try to dive deep into some of these things. But I wanted to start out because I love these kinds of videos. This video of Christina Koch getting home and her dog welcoming her. So I'm going to share the screen with you guys so you can see what's going on. I just love it. The dog, like, dogs are so cool, man. They know, you know what I mean? It's like they don't forget.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't know what to do. It's like, oh, she's walking fine, right? That's kind of neat.
She did said she was having some issues with the balance, that it's still not quite there yet. She's at like 90%.
Oh, okay. Oh, it just started over. Yeah. But that's just her balance. Because I know, and maybe this stuff comes later, but I don't know if any of you guys ever listened or read Scott Kelly's book, Endurance. And he goes into some of the agonizing pain he went through where, like, after a little while, like his ankles, like the bottoms of his legs and his feet and everything were like bloating out from where all the blood was pooling down at his feet and stuff, and it was like really painful just to walk and move around, and even like being in bed, having the blankets on him was painful. And I just assume, she'd be experiencing that too. And maybe she will, maybe this video's, I don't know when this video's from, but, maybe,
Pretty recently.
I mean, I know that it was posted today, but maybe that stuff's coming, you know what I mean? Or maybe they've just, maybe they learned a lot from Scott Kelly. So,
Well,
and they,
wasn't he up there for over a year?
not over a year. It was a few days shy of a year. And she was
Yeah.
like 340 days.
340.
340, yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, she was right there. I mean, in the same range, and he was.
No. Scott Kelly was 340. She was 328.
Ah.
Bam, you got it. Yep, that's right. Okay, so a difference of almost 2 weeks, like not even 2 weeks. So I would assume that they'd be kind of experiencing the same thing. Of course, men and women, their bodies are different.
Yeah, I was the same body mass.
Yeah, I mean,
all that.
you're talking 25-day difference with Scott. Over a year, 365 days is a year, so he was up there 340.
Yeah, and she was 328. That's only 12-day difference.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just interesting. It'll be cool to see. She doesn't have a twin to be compared to, but it's just another data point for what is it like for a human body to be in space. And what I was going to say is maybe they took some things that they learned from Scott and applied it to her. That we're just not privy to. Maybe her workouts were different.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think she worked out longer. That was one of the things that I did see was that her workout routine consisted of longer periods.
Okay.
And the way they work out in space is just incredible. Like the contraption that they have come up with, and I forget its name right now, but the things that space does to the human body are just so like nothing we can even fathom. Like it changes the shape of your eyes. People actually lose their visual acuity in space, so they have to start wearing, even if you never wore glasses before, you do have to wear spectacles in space. And they have these crazy adjustable spectacles that they issue to astronauts who are going up for longer than say 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know about the special glasses. That's neat.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
the
I
go
want
ahead,
them
Matt.
on the ground.
What were you gonna say, Matt?
I mean, she was already wearing glasses, before she went up there. But now, before she had come back, they would actually do a routine where instead of running normally on the treadmill, she was actually running backwards on the treadmill.
Oh, really?
Just showing
So
off.
I had posted no, it's to they were trying. I can't remember what they said. They were trying to reverse something. So I'd actually posted a link. So a long time ago, a few years ago, they had posted a really detailed tour of the ISS, and I can't remember the astronaut's name. It was 2 of them, and they went throughout the whole entire ISS, and they gave you a very detailed tour of the International Space Station. Well, here recently, within I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it was, they redid that video.
Oh, okay.
And they went through every single section of the International Space Station. So while they were going through, you see her on the treadmill, and she's actually running backwards.
And that also works a separate set of muscles than running forward. And in fact, running on the ground, if you run backwards, it works your glutes more than your calves. So.
Right. And they had mentioned that they're like, oh, she's running backwards because of, and I forget, I have to watch the video again, but yeah, it's actually on YouTube. I can send you guys the link. It's pretty awesome.
And those the treadmill that they run on, they're like made specially to reduce vibration because it would actually like mess with the space station if they didn't account for that vibration. If that vibration was allowed to transfer into the structure of it, it could like cause like oscillations and vibrations and stuff in it.
Absolutely.
Just slamming the ground, you know what I mean? Oh yeah.
Plus you're strapped into it because, and without being strapped into it, you take one step and you float off of it. So they actually have these straps, and those straps have a certain amount of tension, and it's actually adjustable. So they adjust the tension to it having the same amount of tension as like what they weigh. Yeah. So that they can still be used to. They're trying to get rid of the fact that your legs atrophy from not being used for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool. Welcome home, Christina. We missed it last week because I don't know. We're dumb.
We had a lot going on last week.
Yeah. One of the things was Solar Orbiter, and it went off perfectly on time. No delays. They had a 2-hour window. They did not have to use it. The sky was clear. I'm showing my shot. Obviously, it wasn't perfectly clear. There were a few clouds, but it wasn't anything to worry about. So yeah, it went off, and then Tori Bruno posted this image a few days later about how accurate it was. And this little bullseye graphic is kind of simplifying it for us, for people like us. But basically, they're right down the middle, so they are perfectly where they wanted to be in their orbit. And as far as I know, the spacecraft is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I wonder if they did this to because of the blunder of Boeing.
No, I've seen this chart before.
Yeah. We did an awesome job this time.
Right.
Even though it wasn't their fault. It wasn't ULA.
Yeah, it wasn't their fault at all.
Their rocket got it where it needed to go, and then
yeah, ULA, man. Even if they're more expensive than SpaceX or I don't know whoever else there is not really much else, but they're more expensive. But boy, are they reliable and accurate. And I totally understand why they would want to brag on their own accuracy.
And Tori's awesome.
Tori is the man. Yeah, so talk about that. So you got to meet the man again.
So this is my third time.
I got to meet the President of the United States again.
Of the United States of the Rockets.
That's a Forrest Gump reference for you youngsters out there.
So yes, we did get to meet Tori once more again. This is my third time meeting him. What was really cool about this social was the fact that Tori gave us a personal tour of the ASOC. Mm-hmm. He gave us the whole tour.
It went from
the lobby all the way through. It was fantastic.
It went from maybe we can get Tori to show up to he gave you guys a tour of the entire place.
He gave us the tour of the entire building, man.
Yeah, and was taking questions and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like you could totally just chime in.
Yeah. I asked him about the go-kart racing with him and Elon. He said he's down.
Of course, Elon never responded. The only ones that actually responded were Tori and Peter Beck, right? Peter Beck is Rocket Lab, y'all, if you don't know. And
I think the lady from Aerodyne...
Aerojet.
Yeah, she responded as well. Said that she was down too. And then somebody else had suggested the guy from the Iranian satellites.
Oh yeah.
Matt something.
Desh.
Yes, Matt Desh.
Matt Desh. Well, yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, all of these CEOs or presidents or whatever they are that have been, they've been active and at least communicative to the community, and I think that's really cool. I mean, hell, even if Elon's not in it, they should still do it. They don't need Elon,
Yeah.
Because I think everybody would still be totally into it.
It would be totally into it. And you talk about how communicative people have become, and I think that's it's a lasting impression that SpaceX has made, because before SpaceX, NASA, they would do their presser and then that's all you ever heard from them. But with Twitter and Facebook and all these social media platforms, they have the ability to basically reach out and touch the people they want to get this information out to. Even like Jim Bridenstine now, the man is a freaking savior.
Yeah, dude, I really like him. I remember being real skeptical. I think that it was everybody's argument, well, he's a politician. What does he know about this stuff? And first time I heard him, the time that I knew that he knew his stuff, and maybe he had to be coached up, I'm sure he did, but he understood it. The evidence that he understood it was when he was given a talk about how they had considered not doing the moon missions on the SLS, but possibly going with another launch provider and stuff. And he broke that down. He talked about launch mass and trajectories and thrusts, and he broke it down in all these different ways, the different ways that the different things they took into consideration on whether or not they even could consider another launch provider. And then he was just like, look, SLS is just the best rocket for this job. It might be expensive, but there's a lot of ways that it is more capable than some of these others.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Daryl, yes, that was one of the things that I did suggest to Tori. I said, hey, if you guys are going to race, you might as well do a race for charity, and I told him, I said, hey, why don't you guys do a charity for like STEM education? You know what I mean? Because anything going with rockets, space, NASA, it's all going to break down to STEM education. He didn't really reply. He gave it a like. That was about it. So, hey, that's more that I could ask for. A nice little heart.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that he'll do that. Like it's pretty obvious. He gets on Twitter like once a day or once every other day and just goes through and just looks at his mentions and looks at different things and he'll like your stuff. He's retweeted Next Horizons a couple times and that's always pretty neat.
He's a good guy. So we ended up with the social. We actually ended up at the press site at the VAB right next to the time clock, and that was just freaking phenomenal. My shots didn't come out how I really originally had planned because I had cranked my ISO because as we're walking up to the press site, I was trying to take pictures of the VAB.
Oh, your liftoff shot. I thought your streak shots came out great.
No, my streak shot did, yes. But my liftoff shot is because I was taking pictures of the VAB. So because I was taking pictures of the VAB, I forgot to crank my ISO back down.
Right.
for my liftoff shots. Even though I was bracketing, I forgot to readjust my ISO. So
where is your shot? I'm scrolling. Oh wait, here it is. I got it.
He's scrolling.
There it is. Yeah, there's Matt's shot there. I thought it was pretty good. Man, you guys had so I was wondering if anybody was in a position where it would go up and over the moon, but I don't think anybody was because you guys were about as close as you could get.
Yeah, almost.
And on mine, the moon was just out of frame, which I was kind of happy about. I think somebody was like, "Oh man, the moon's just out of frame." I'm like, I'm kind of okay with that because it was blown out. I knew it would be, but I was okay because whenever I lined up the shot, of course, it was in the frame and then it drifted out. But what's kind of cool, and this is we like giving photography tips here. If you know that you're going to have the moon in your shot and it's going to blow out, one of the benefits of turning your f-stop way up to get up to at least 16, but 18 and really 22 is usually that magic point on any lens, but that might be a little too high on some of these. But you start to get this starburst thing, and I can't claim to explain how that is. It has something to do with the position of those little flaps that whenever you've seen, if you've ever looked down the barrel of a camera when it's firing, there's those little things that kind of go,
That's called the iris.
The iris. So it's got to be something with how the light comes through there, right? And so there you go. So if you have a higher f-stop, then it's going to do that. So that's kind of a nice little feature. And instead of ended up looking like a big white blob, which is what would happen otherwise.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys took pictures.
Yeah, how was your solar orbiter experience, Eagle?
I don't know. That was probably some dumb dream at the time.
Was it real dark? Was it real dark where you were?
Yeah, it was dark in my mind. I think. And then I woke up at 1 and I was like, oh, oops.
Yeah. So I texted Kegel I just got off work and I had to run home, get something to eat, get back in the car, head out. And I was like, "Hey man, I'm leaving. I'm heading out that way." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna head out here in just a minute." And you must have been in bed, you must have been napping at the time.
I was on the couch.
Oh, you're on the couch, man. That couch, dude, it'll get you.
Oh, I know.
If you're not careful,
watching mindless television.
Yeah.
But I also, drove 4 hours. Just got home a couple hours before that.
That's true.
Driving kills you,
dude.
Really makes you tired, especially 4 hours. We stopped for lunch, and then that was it.
Yeah, driving along stuff on you.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean, man. I mean, I love road trips, but I kind of got my fill of them years ago when I used to play in a band. And we'd play, we'd play. It was all regional, but we were always driving for 4 or 5 hours from each show to the next show and stuff. And I was always the driver. Because I was the only one that really knew how to drive a trailer. I mean, driving forward with a trailer is fine, but nobody else in the band knew how to back up a trailer. So yeah, I kind of got my fill with the long road trips. But They
We're
are
gonna have one here
tiny.
soon.
Yeah,
We're gonna have one soon, man.
Yeah, we want to go up to Wallops.
Yeah, man.
And hey, it's Rocket Lab on a brand new pad, so let's hope that we get to see it. Because I know, what's his name? Chance. Is it Chance or Chase? Chance from Launch 360. He went up to Wallops for the Antares launch, and they got scrubbed till tomorrow. And I don't know if he stayed. I kind of doubt it, because that was same day as Solar Orbiter, so I don't know if he was able to stay up there that long.
He did a little detour though. That's which I don't blame him. I would have too. Detoured to DC and seen all the Capitol and all that other stuff. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, DC's neat. I've only been through there one time in the middle of the night, and the cops didn't want us there, so we left. We were in an old raggedy van. It was actually the band van, and it was just this old 80s something like conversion van, and just looked like trash. Like the tail lights barely worked. It just, they were like, "You just need to leave.
We don't want your cat around here."
Do what?
Did it say band van?
No, but it looked old and ratty. I mean, it stood out like a sore thumb, and like the tail lights looked bad, and I don't know. Anyway,
I will say with the DC real quick. Anybody who goes to DC, go to the Air and Space Museum. It's the most overlooked thing there. They actually have a piece of a moon rock where you can touch it, there's never a line. It's a tiny little triangle. It's like about that big of a moon rock that you can touch.
Oh yeah, cool.
And like I got the picture of me touching it and jumping up in the air, and I said I jumped so high I touched the moon. Yeah. My wife said all she was looking at was my back the whole time we were at Air and Space, because I was just running around like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, and they have a shuttle there too, don't they? Or is it there, or is it somewhere else?
The shuttle's out in Chantilly, out next to the airport.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like the aircraft hangar for the National Air and Space Museum. The stuff that won't fit there, they put out there. Like they have the original, what was the plane from France? The supersonic plane.
The Concorde?
Yeah, the Concorde. They have the original Concorde plane there. The Enola Gay is there, and one of the space shuttles is there. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I wish I was old enough when the Concords flew, because like they would break the sound barrier and break people's windows. I mean, that's the old stories. I don't know if that was true or not, but because they were so loud.
Yeah, was it something like they were going to do it? It was going to be these, well, they did do commercial flights, right? But it was like people got tired of hearing the sonic booms.
It was a super expensive flight, and then they couldn't go supersonic until they were over the ocean.
But then they had a couple accidents, engine failures or something. And
they hit a couple of geese and lost some engines that way. So it was becoming very expensive to operate them.
Well, yeah, it would cut like 4 or 6 hours off of a flight.
Oh, absolutely, though. It was an expensive flight, though.
Yeah, high-profile business people will do that.
Just wait till Starship starts flying.
Starship's going to be the next Concorde right there.
Earth to Earth, yeah. So Matt. Anyway, NASA Social. What else? Oh, you got to do the VAB, which they said you weren't going to be able to, right?
At first, they told us that they weren't doing the VAB, and they're like, "Guess what? We're taking you guys to the VAB," which is my second time being in the VAB, which is pretty cool, pretty awesome. And then where else did they take us?
Did you see anything worth mentioning in there? I know that we saw, when I was there, a couple segments of solid rocket booster for SLS.
No, they did not let us. They did not take us down to the end.
Oh, really? It was just kind of step in just inside.
Right. They had the launcher in there, the platform and everything in there, but they didn't let us. Yeah. The mobile launcher was right at the very end, and some of the people. So if you ever get a chance to go to some of these socials, you're going to be doing these socials with people who really don't know a lot about this stuff, and that's why NASA brings them onto these socials to educate them, and hoping that they can educate their followers, so that NASA gets more more accreditation and more gets out Exactly.
Because
Gets
there's
out
so
there
many
more.
people out there that think that NASA closed down when the space shuttle stopped flying.
Right, exactly. So when I was saying like, oh yeah, down that way is the mobile launcher, they're like, we have no idea what that is. And then I started explaining it to them. They're like, oh, and I was like, I don't know if they're going to take us down there or not. And nope, sure enough, they
But
sure did.
they did take you to 39B, right? So you could kind of give them. No, I thought I saw.
That was the state of NASA.
Oh,
So
okay.
John and Crystal actually ended up doing 2 socials back to back.
Yeah.
That was really lucky, man. I was
Yeah.
like, how'd y'all pull that, man? I was like, dang, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ended up doing the state of social, so they went on 39B, and then and then there was that article that came out the other day. Everybody was talking about it. Emery Kelly, if you're listening to this, you're the savior, man. He's actually the one that did the research. And was like, hey guys, look, this is what happened.
Oh yeah, I didn't have that pulled up, but well, there's no pictures of it. But yeah, go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah. So apparently there was this article that this guy dropped the other day, and it was completely misleading. And everybody is retweeting it. I was retweeting it. Yeah, Chris G was retweeting it. Everybody was retweeting it. And what the headliner said was a guy. What they made it sound like was a guy had broken through the gates, had drove on top of 39B, and died. Basically, and everybody's just like, "What? How? What?
There's like no way you
How
made
did he
it
get
that far."
that far?" And that's what the article said. And Emery Claire's like, no. This is what ended up happening. He ended up getting to the gates, and he was apprehended, and But the article made it seem like he broke the gates, got to 39B, and just died. And I was just like, well, I mean, that's kind of honorable, but at the same time, how? How did you get that far?
Well, it is. I mean, it's impressive what he did do. I mean, he got past the gate, which I guess it's not if you really want to, because when you go onto Kennedy Space Center property, like you have to stop and talk to a guard. You have to show credentials or some official thing that shows that you're supposed to be there. And I imagine if you can't produce those documents, then he tells you, okay, we'll just do a U-turn. You got to leave. And I guess that's your opportunity. If you really want to go, you just gun it. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have the gate stops like a military base, like a traditional military base.
I was gonna say, if you come in the other side on the Air Force side, which is over by the cruise terminals, when you go through that one, so you go to the guard gate, same thing as the other one, and then about half a football field up, there's actually like is it like it's like
things
in the road?
something? Yeah, there's something
like,
that'll stop you.
What that is,
we should be careful about how much
plate.
detail we go into. I think
I
don't know what all.
It's common knowledge.
You can see it from the road.
Yeah.
So it's a metal plate. What it is it's got hydraulics underneath it, and it opens up like a clam toward the car, like the direction of travel.
Right.
So it will stop, and that thing, those are rated to stop like an 18-wheeler going at like 75.
Yeah.
But then it's weird, just on the Kennedy Space Center side, there's nothing.
Yeah.
They're just like,
They get more traffic on that side. That's probably why.
Yeah.
We think there's no fail safe. It's just like, they just gun it. I mean, you can go chase them down, but not like you.
And he
follow.
He was taking him on an 80-mile-an-hour chase through Kennedy.
Apparently, he was looking for some kind of secret launch pad. From what I was reading,
I think I kind of feel bad, like laughing about him because I think he might have been a little off. I think it was more than just like a conspiracy theorist or flat earther or something. I think he might have been a little off. So it's like it does feel kind of weird laughing about this story, but and ultimately he did
die 10 days later.
Unrelated, right?
Completely unrelated. He got hit by a train, actually.
Right, was walking with his back to the train, and apparently he didn't know the train was coming, and I guess it was the conductor on the train that said that he was walking the other direction, not like he was standing there trying to get run over by a train. Yeah, is what I'm guessing.
Don't wear those noise cancellation headphones.
Ooh, I wonder if that's it. Like he had headphones in.
Maybe he was listening to a podcast.
Like, really? You're walking on a train, bro, or on a train track. You don't wear headphones on a train track.
Was he listening to Pressing for Flight?
It might have been. He was really getting in deep.
Yeah. What's that sound? Yeah, well.
Is that part of the podcast? What's up?
When
Yeah,
do they
but
add train to sound effects?
the article made it just seem like he had broke through the gates, went on top of 39B, and just like randomly died. Like, I get it, you know what I mean? That's where I want to die, man. On top of a rocket pad, heck yeah, man. You know what I mean? I feel him on that one. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just extremely misleading article, completely. And
Yeah.
Emirate Kelly came in for the win and was just like, "Hey, look, this is what happened," and just completely broke it down.
I don't know how I missed this until Emery posted this tweet, this thread, and then his article also is at the end of this thread. So if you guys want to go read his article out there in internet land, it's just look up Emery Kelly and read his little article.
And in other related news, it seems like the Rocket Lab had a little mishap.
Not Rocket Lab, Rocket Crafters.
Rocket Crafters, my bad. Sorry, I was looking down at my phone. I'm looking at Rocket Lab. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes, they did have
I
a
hope
little
it's
bit
not
of
Rocket Lab.
accident. No. So they and the other one too, Firefly. You know what people don't understand is that some of these smaller, aerospace companies, they're still trying to work out the kinks. You know what I mean? With any kind of smaller aerospace company, smaller, rocket launch provider, there's going to be an accident. Things are going to happen. They're trying to work out the kinks. They're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. If anybody can remember, when SpaceX first came about, they had a lot of failures.
Yeah, they had 3 failures in a row before they finally got to orbit.
Exactly. And if it wasn't for that last launch, they were actually successful, SpaceX wouldn't be around right now. You know what I mean? So they're going to work out the kinks. So if anybody's looking at that, Rocket Crafters did have a little slight mishap today. But again,
and for context, that Rocket Crafters is actually located next door to the Starship Coco site.
Yeah. Sure are.
Down the road.
And we've been in contact with them, and they are interested in having, a media day or something. And I was hoping, and maybe it'll still happen, maybe not their next test, but I would really like to be able to do remotes for it, right? For an engine test there. How awesome would that be?
Yeah,
Set up some cameras right there around the test stand. I mean, you're really kind of running the risk there because it's a new company and they're testing brand new engines and stuff. But that would be really neat to be able to set up a camera right there.
Yeah, the failure today was a overpressurization failure. It sent some debris flying and it set a brush fire and damaged the safety wall that actually protects the site from the rocket testing facility.
Oh, they're the reason why it's so smoky around here today.
Is that what it was? Did you see smoke?
There was a lot of smoke.
There's been a lot of controlled burns here recently, but I don't know.
Yeah,
if
we're in
there's any
fire
over there.
season, guys.
Yeah, and actually, you know what?
We don't have winter; we have fire season.
On the upside, this may have gotten a bunch of new followers for Rocket Crafters. A lot more people might know who they are now. You know what I'm saying? And, a lot of people probably didn't realize they had a spot over in Cocoa, especially on Sidco Road.
Yeah.
Or as Julia
Just
says,
grab those lemons and make that lemonade, bro.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So good luck to them. Hopefully they'll get that media day rolling because as far as I know, we're on whatever mailing list to be notified whenever it's time to have a day.
Looking forward to covering that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're always interested in these new companies that are coming up. And, not everyone's going to make it. Not all, because there are quite a few, new contenders in the launch market, and not everyone's going to make it. But, I'm super interested in, following any of them from, from as early as I can. I didn't know about Rocket Crafters until maybe 6 months ago, but I'm sure they've been around longer than that.
I mean, historically, with aerospace companies, the attrition rate's somewhere around 99%.
Ooh.
That's why the dinosaurs exist, because they were the first very successful companies to do this stuff, and everyone else is just trying to catch up now.
Yeah, and luckily, if you can prove to NASA that you're viable, they can actually come in and help you.
Oh yeah, they like to spend that money.
Yeah, they're in the business of helping out the new guys as long as you're legit. I mean, we get some people commenting on our stuff on Facebook on Next Horizons that are like asking how, like, if we can help them get in touch with Elon or what? Do you remember? You know what I'm talking about, Matt? There's been somebody on there that is like, how can I get in touch with Elon? I have a system that will work better than chemical propulsion or something, and if they would just give me a chance, help me get in touch with NASA.
And use steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You use the Aerospike.
Right. Now the Aerospike is a type of engine, but what's the name of the company that has the water engine, the steam-powered water engine?
Arca.
Okay, yeah.
Arca.
And they have a test flight coming up, don't they?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. They have the Arca with the Aerospike. They're calling their engine the Aerospike as well.
Oh, that's the name. That's what they're naming their engine.
They're naming their engine the Aerospike. I don't know if it's the Aerospike everyday astronaut covered, but they're calling their engine the Aerospike.
Well, it's not because that's going to get confusing because Aerospike is a type of engine, just like a
that's a type of actual like engine shape because you have your
Not
traditional
bell,
bell shape, and then the Aerospike actually directs the exhaust essentially down, and it's a different shape. Basically.
Right. Instead of it expanding into a bell, it's like forced down into a point. It's
right.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what they're calling their engine is Aerospike. Yeah, but that's Arca. They're claiming they're wanting to launch here at, I believe it was like April. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see just how, I think it was like a 20 or 30 kilometer test flight or something like that. So basically the same height that the Starship is looking to achieve here.
Right.
So,
well, wish them luck, man, because I just feel like if water could be used as fuel, it would already be done.
I mean, essentially, water was used as fuel on the space shuttle.
Well, yeah, it's water, but starting with water, not
starting with water, not electrolyzed water. I get what you're saying. Because that's why everyone's looking at the moon and saying, well, there's all this water up there, and we can use that as fuel.
Right. Okay, let's see. Moving along, I just want to touch on this quickly. Of course, everybody knows there is a Starlink launch coming up Saturday. The best thing we can give you right now is that the Falcon 9 is vertical on the pad. I'm guessing tomorrow morning sometime they'll do the static fire and we'll hear about it, and then SpaceX will, as is tradition, they will announce the official date and time. Which, as far as we all know, it's 10:47 or so on Saturday morning.
Right. But the 70% chances got up to 10%. So
yeah, weather got better. That's not very often, but weather got better. Yeah. And then I just wanted to show everybody, if you're watching this, you may have already seen this, but Gavin from SpaceX Fleet has this image out. This is, it's a few hours old, so the ships may have gotten a little closer to the landing zone, but they are well on their way.
Yep.
So everything is progressing.
Now that 70% does not include upper level winds, and it does not include what the conditions are like in the recovery area.
But did you notice?
Yes, that they included that in the weather report now, which is awesome.
That is so cool. So the weather, it didn't say specifically what they were predicting for the upper level winds, but they did have a spot on there for shear, and that's really what we're interested in is the wind shear, and so that was low, and the recovery risk was moderate. So I don't know, we don't have any more details than that. We just know that the recovery weather risk is moderate. So they may proceed with that, but 70% go. I like those odds. So that's Starlink. That's the Saturday. If not Saturday, then Sunday looks even better, where it's 90% go on weather, and then shear and recovery area are both low risk. So Sunday would be even better if they're not able to do it on Saturday.
I'm gonna root for Sunday then.
Well, I'm not because if they don't go Saturday, then I won't be going for camera reset. I'll be going for camera pickup. Unless, maybe, I don't know, maybe I can get Brandon or somebody to pick up my cameras. I don't know. We'll see. Next on the docket, Virgin Galactic has moved Spaceship Two Unity or VSS Unity is the name of it, from Mojave out to Spaceport America in New Mexico. And I'm basically,
That's exciting.
I've got Jack Byers' tweet pulled up. I'm pretty sure he took these photos himself, because I know that he had a really good video the other day from out there. So I'm assuming this is him. Great shots, man. Really good shots here.
Yeah, he's a big playing guy.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah, he loves
That
this.
is just
That's
beautiful.
It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully this means that they're getting closer to commercial flights. As a stockholder, I hope that they are. The stocks are doing very well, even without them flying, paying customers yet.
Oh yeah, that's great. And you'll know that they're getting really close to the commercial flight when they start actually bringing people out, because they have a 1 week astronaut course that is included in that $250,000 per paying customer that they've received from the customers. So you'll know, because people will be saying, "Oh, I'm heading out there. I'm going to go do my training now."
I want to say it was Virgin Galactic where they have actually already started getting people. Not there. I don't think they're actually there, but they have some training camp somewhere. Do you remember? Hearing that?
That one I have not heard.
I wonder if I could just Google it real fast. Virgin Galactic training. Okay, yeah, Virgin Galactic kicks off astronaut readiness program. This is in November. I don't know if...
See, that's why everyone's so excited, but they know it's coming because they're starting this process.
Yeah, so this is... there's a... Yeah, there's a picture here of Chief Pilot Dave McKay sits down with Virgin Galactic future astronauts. So they've got some people, and it'd be really interesting if we could recognize any of these people, but I don't.
People with an extra 200,000.
Yeah.
The gentleman with the long hair there, I actually read an article about him, and I cannot remember the gentleman's name, but he's fairly old, and he was like a millionaire. He made like millions of dollars in Britain in, I believe it was like the newspaper business.
Mm-hmm. Well,
like I can recognize him by the back of his head. I don't know why.
I was thinking this might be Larry David.
A little too husky for
We're going to Terry Bradshaw. I don't know.
Ah, there you go.
I could see Terry Bradshaw. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's them. Yeah, so that's cool. That's not, obviously it's not Space Coast stuff, but I'm super excited for Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic. Just start flying these people. I just want to see what people's reaction is when they come back. I want to start to see those reaction videos, and then, I don't know, tweets or whatever it is that they put out. I want to hear what they have to say. Just normal people. I don't know if the first people are going to be like they're already space buffs. I'm waiting for those people that aren't space buffs but had the money and the balls to do it, to go on that flight and just see how it impacts them,
I want to see pictures of stuff.
Celebrity.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I want Lady Gaga to go up there, okay?
I want to see pictures of stuff that I can't afford. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I see that all the time when I'm shopping.
I mean,
exactly.
The thing is it's a pretty short flight, relative to, like going to the space station or something, or going into orbit. And if you've ever studied up on the overview effect, there's thoughts like, well, it may take a little while for that to set in and stuff, but I think that just getting up there above the atmosphere, seeing the backdrop of the stars and the Earth below and the curvature of the Earth and being separate, it might freak you out. But it also...
There's a famous, I believe it was Alan Bean said, if I could take a politician to the moon and I would point him at the Earth and I would show him this round ball that's floating fragile in the sky, and I would say, "Look at that, you son of a bitch."
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
That's your home.
That's what I want is for the politicians and the business leaders and stuff to go up there and see it. It's because I feel like, those of us that are already just totally 100% sold into space, like it wouldn't be as big of a change. It would be profound to be able to see that, but we just see what we already know. We know that we live on a ball flying through space. We're all basically on a spaceship. We live in space. There just happens to be a thin layer of atmosphere. Earth. Right, yeah, Spaceship Earth, yeah. So we kind of already know it. I want to see people, especially influential people, go up and have this experience.
Yeah. I'd want to go as long as I could bring my camera.
Oh, yeah.
But then you'd be thinking about your settings the whole time, like, oh, what are my settings?
Yeah, that's true.
At some point, we have to turn the photographer off and just enjoy the show. It's just like you go to concerts and all the people have their phones up. It's like, did you come here to watch music or did you come here to record people playing music?
Now, one thing to keep in mind is that so far, all of these flights are launching from the same place, so pretty much all the photography will be taken care of. So it might even be best to just not, because there's going to be a lot of people going and seeing the same view, because you're not going around the Earth, you're going up above New Mexico, and I'm sure you can see several states, and you can see the Rockies, and you can see all that stuff, but you're not going to see anything different with your flight than what anybody else saw until they start launching from somewhere else. That's why I while I totally support, Blue Origin and Virgin for doing this, I think it's going into orbit is going to be the most profound thing, to be able to see all sides of the Earth, and all the different types of landscapes and all the different countries and cities and no lines between them.
Not lines. Yeah.
That whole thing.
The absence of those lines on the map.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we are filling up time. Let's keep it rolling. So very exciting. We got a tentative date. Everybody understand this is a tentative date for Crew Dragon launch, and that date is May 7th. And according to Eric Berger, there's even a possibility it could slide to the left back into April. That's kind of interesting, right? But NASA, the headline, if you're watching, you've already read it. NASA confirms Crew Dragon is almost ready, mostly paperwork left. They did mention a couple more parachute drop tests, and then there was okay, here we go. I found it. This is, what is the name of this fella? Lavero is the last name of. Anyway, he says, we have some subsystems that are in the vehicle that we think might need to be re-engineered with different kinds of metal. We have a tungsten incompatibility in one of the areas that we want to replace with different kinds of tubing. It's not major, but it's something that has to be done along the way. So it, like, at first glance, I was like, ooh, like that sounds like a big deal. But, if they're already kind of putting out a working date, it must not be that big of a deal. They probably already know what they're
the way they build the Crew Dragon, like, because I've seen one taken apart when I did my tour over in McGregor.
Okay.
The way they build it, everything is incredibly accessible.
Okay.
It's not like when I was stationed on the submarine, that thing was not made to be worked on.
Oh.
This thing is made for, the parts are meant to pop out and pop right back in. It's incredibly easy to work on from a standpoint of actually accessing things and replacing things quickly. So,
okay. So basically you just take those outside panels off, because I've seen the pictures of it and you see just lines and tubing and wires and stuff going everywhere. So that's just like you take the panels on the outside off and you have access to all that stuff.
Yeah. And all those wires and tubing and everything are actually not that deep. It's only a couple of inches into the actual spacecraft where all the wires and tubing is.
Okay.
And behind that panel, it's only a couple inches, and then you have the actual the people tank behind that.
The people tank, I like that. So that's
a submarine term.
Oh, so yeah. So everyone, if you don't live down here around the Space Coast and you are really wanting to see astronauts fly for the first time from U.S. soil, American rockets, and then just toeing the line, y'all. Then just keep your eyes peeled on May-ish, start talking to your boss, say, hey, sometime this time of the year, May-ish, maybe April, maybe even June, but we have a working date, so that's exciting.
Can I just take a couple months off?
Right, yeah, seriously.
Well, as it gets closer, you get like at least a month or so out. It's gonna be pretty solid.
Yeah.
Date.
Okay, so let's get into something that may take up a little more time. So Matt Jordan wrote this really good article for Next Horizons, the 2020 Mars Missions Outlook, and he went through and just did a deep dive and super detailed about when they're launching and when they're getting there and the instruments on board. So yeah, this is going to be a big Mars window. Like if you don't know, the Mars windows come around every 26 months, and this year there are 4 planned missions, right?
Yes,
Take it
4
away.
planned missions. So we do have 4 planned missions during the Mars opposition window, as those in the space industry call it. That's coming up this year. Window actually opens in July and closes in September. On the deck right now, there's currently 6 active satellites flying around Mars. Everything from your Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to there's an Indian Mars Orbiter mission, also called, I believe it's
Mom.
Yeah, Mom, or it has a Sanskrit name. It's Mangalayan. I probably just completely annihilated that, but
Hey, sound good to me.
yeah, it's Mangalayan. It translates to Mars Traveler. That's currently up there. And then there's actually 2 landers on the planet. You have Curiosity and Insight are actually on the ground on Mars right now. So the big missions that are coming up, everybody, at least stateside, everybody's talking about Mars 2020.
Right.
They're currently in the naming phase. That's been boxed up, and it actually arrived at Cape Canaveral yesterday.
Yes, sir. And I'm showing the video now. John Krause got a good video of it coming in on the C-17 Globemaster, arriving and actually landed. Is it? No, this does not. Is this a Guppy? I don't think this one's a Guppy.
Is that not the Guppy?
No. This is here. Let me share.
Julie got some pretty good pictures of it too.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of the video here. Oh, there's audio too. I know it's kind of hard to see on here, but if you go to John Krause's Twitter, that's John Krause Photos.
It's definitely not the Guppy. Okay.
Yeah, because the Guppy's big and white, right?
Yeah, Guppy's big and white, and the actual whole front of the plane pops off.
Yeah, that's just C-17.
Yeah. So that showed up. So they're getting ready for their July launch date. With that, missions being run by NASA. The big thing about Mars 2020 is that it is almost solely based around astrobiology. So actually looking for signs of past or extant life on Mars.
Right.
And they're also going to be looking at surface geology. And they do want to cache several samples for a potential future Mars soil return mission. So that's a big thing. They're going to basically pile up a bunch of samples on the surface and design another lander that will go and pick them up and launch them back.
Somehow launch them back, which is so interesting to me. Like you're going to be able to launch something off of a rover back into orbit and still have enough Delta V to get back to Earth and everything. I believe they can do it. Otherwise,
it's going to be a multi-piece system. I think they're essentially going to put. If you watch The Martian, they call it a MAV, and I've seen it called in several other science fiction-y things called a MAV, or a Mars Ascent Vehicle.
Right.
Basically, you send it there, and one of the things experiments that they're sending on Mars 2020 is actually called MOXIE. Very exciting for people who are looking forward to seeing humans walk on Mars. MOXIE basically converts Martian atmosphere into water, and water can then be converted into rocket fuel.
Yeah.
So you convert the Mars atmosphere, which is made up almost exclusively of CO2, which is carbon dioxide. That actually can be converted into methane and water.
Mm-hmm.
And then the water is electrolyzed and you get oxygen and hydrogen out of
So
that.
then, yeah, if you're a
you
fan
can
of
use the methane, which is what they really do want to use for the rocket fuel, is the methane, because the hydrogen can actually be fed back into the system to create more.
Mhm.
With the way that
so
Moxie
this actually
works.
has implications for SpaceX for the Starship plans.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It absolutely does for any kind of colonization effort, whether that's Mars One, which I believe is defunct now.
Yeah,
or,
they're dead.
Or yeah, that's dead.
We all knew they were going to be.
Well, yeah, they have the worst like system for.
We're going to do a reality show.
Yeah, I know. Like that's not the way you do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Mars 2020 is really exciting. A lot of people are really excited also about the helicopter that's also being included on that one.
Yeah, I think sweet.
Probably not going to work very well. Let's be realistic. The Martian atmosphere is incredibly thin. It's like
I mean, they've tested it out in a vacuum chamber. You know,
Yeah.
they've gotten it down to Mars type, thickness of atmosphere, and they've flown it. It's lifted off. I mean, I agree that when you get it out there in the real world, it's going to be a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot simulate the atmosphere of Mars, at least not at sea level here. That's one of the reasons that Elon wanted to do the rockets landing themselves, because they were able to test how the Merlin engines would actually react in a Mars-like atmosphere up in our atmosphere.
Yeah, way up.
Yeah,
there,
way up in our atmosphere.
Yeah, and then NASA ended up filming infrared footage of them re-entering the atmosphere, because they were interested in it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
back in the
NASA's
early
interested in anything that's going to advance exploration. It doesn't matter who's doing it; they're interested in it, and that's why like they have programs like Discovery, and we might get to talk about Discovery.
Yeah,
later,
if we don't run out of time.
If we don't run out,
I
of
mean,
time.
it's not like we have not a timer really, but
Yeah, no, I understand. All right, so let's get through the rest of these the 2020 Martian missions here, though. So that's one very large one. The next one is Exomars. Exomars is still the name of the program, but they've named both the lander and the rover. The lander is called Kazachok, which is Little Cossack in Russian, and the rover is actually named Rosalind Franklin after one of the primary scientists who discovered DNA and RNA. So pretty interesting. That is a joint mission between ESA, the European Space Agency, and Roscosmos, which is the Russian space agency.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to use a Russian launcher, the Proton M rocket, and that's going to be landing at, what's the name of the place? I don't have the information pulled up.
I've got the article. Let's see. I don't know. I'll try to find it here. I've got your
the
article
name of the
pulled
place
up.
the name of the place isn't really all that important. It's a pretty interesting place just because it looks like it used to be. Yeah, Oxyoplanum. Okay, so it used to be. Looks like it was like a floodplain where a river actually flooded into like a lake. So pretty interesting. They think they might get some good information when it comes to any kind of biological leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, the big push this year is astrobiology, actually looking for life on Mars. We've always kind of been looking for life, but we wanted to understand more about the planet. Now we really understand the planet a lot better. So
have you ever
we're
heard
kind of shifting the focus?
Robert Zubrin, he was actually on the space show recently, and he talks about. Oh man, I might be getting it wrong. It might be Robert Zimmerman. Either way,
Zubrin.
Well, there's two. There's
now?
Zimmerman also. There are two people that I always listen to on the space show, and which is a great podcast, y'all. If you just looking for more space content, they have all kinds of guests and they do deep dives. They have professionals that are really into this industry. But it was one of them, and I've heard them mention multiple times about how at a certain point NASA decided to not claim that any mission was specifically looking for life because they didn't want to fall flat when they didn't find it, because apparently like maybe it was the Phoenix lander or something where they didn't find life, so it was kind of viewed as sort of a failure or something like that. And you know, this, it might be like cynicism on their part, but they seem pretty sure of it. But it is exciting that they are basically coming right out and saying that we are looking for life on Mars.
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
we're not just looking for, you know, organic compounds or anything. But like, we're set up to look for life.
Yes, and that's one of the really cool things about the Rosalind Franklin rover is that it has a drill that is actually mounted to the rover. So it's going to be the first combination of both moving around the planet to any extent, plus a drill that the drill is actually designed to go up to, I think it's 2 meters in depth.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, because even Curiosity has a drill, but it's not that long. It's like a couple inches long, right?
Like it's only it gets a couple of inches, and it's not actually a drill. It's a kinetic impactor that Curiosity has. So. With Rosalind Franklin, they're actually looking at really getting into the soil to see what they can find, because, you know, what if we're missing it because it's just a little bit further under the surface than we're getting to.
Right.
That one essentially is going to go up in either July or August. It's looking more like July, but they are having some issues with the lander because they're using a combination between parachutes, rockets, and airbags. Whereas, you know, with Mars 2020, we're going back to what is now the old tried and true landing crane system.
Yeah, the sky crane, which was so nerve-wracking the first time. And
yeah, they call it, what, the 17 minutes of terror?
7 minutes of terror. Yeah, because that's how long it takes to go from entry to actually being on the ground. And if I don't know, you know, there's probably some people out there that maybe haven't been into this stuff long enough to really to have watched that landing live, but it is thrilling. And I know that NASA's going to put it, they're going to live stream it again, the landing of Mars 2020, and it is so thrilling to watch all of these engineers that have been working on this mission for so long. They're sitting at their consoles, like they're just so much anxiety, and then finally when they get that release of touchdown confirmed, we're safe on Mars, it's a party in there, and it's incredible. Like, I want to have a watch party, because I was watching that, like me and a friend we're just watching that, and we're just jumping up and down. We're like going nuts, and I want to watch that with other people. Maybe Kennedy will do something at the visitor complex. Yeah, because it is so. It's stupid exciting to watch.
Yeah, and that's going to be in February, I believe. The
landing,
they have it down to the exact date of like February 21st of next year.
Okay,
so pretty exciting. I'm excited about all of these missions.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be like bam, bam, bam when they all get going. I hope they all launch, and that way we can watch them all land, within just a few weeks of each other or whatever.
Yeah, they ended up doing that with Insight too.
Yeah, right.
So they had a big party and everybody was around the consoles and everybody's like, "Oh, where's it going to go?" And finally, we're like, "Touchdown confirmed." And everybody was like,
yeah, I mean the last one that really struck me like that was when they were getting back the first readings of the Pluto flyby from the New Horizon mission.
Yeah. Yes.
That was just absolutely. Like, I watched that live and it just gave me I'm getting the goosebumps thinking about it right now, actually. So the next mission on the docket is going to be Emirate Mars mission. It's also called the Hope Orbiter. That's going to be an orbiter that United Arab Emirates is actually launching on a Japanese Mitsubishi H2A launcher. And that will be studying the seasonal atmospheric cycles. So they want to get a better view of Mars's, the actual climate of the planet. Mm-hmm. And this is the first Arab world mission to another planet. So it's very exciting for them.
Yeah.
And then finally here we have the China Mars 2020 mission. It has a very long name that it's all in English, but yeah.
Let's see. The Mars Global Remote Sensing, that's the orbiter. Oh, and small rover.
And small rover. It's
Yeah.
all one name.
Okay,
So
that is the name. Okay,
that is the name of the mission.
There you go.
They had a name that they were using for like 10 minutes that was just Mars 1, and then they changed the name.
Yeah, bad name.
Yeah, I know, right? So this one, it's a lander and rover. It's a tiny rover, about the size of like Sojourner was for the United States. That's going up on a Long March 5 rocket. It's going to be launched in 2020 is the planned launch, July of 2020, the planned launch. And that one's looking at soil characteristics and looking for water ice, assessing possible habitability, studying the atmosphere, tracking the weather. So basically all the stuff that we've already been done, China's kind of like standing on our shoulders and getting better idea of what's happening there. Mars is interesting for China because they've actually launched a lander once and it failed because it actually crashed with Phobos Grunt. It ended up in the Pacific Ocean.
That's right. Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
it was a little tag-along guy.
And it was going to land on Phobos, right? Was it going to land on Phobos?
Yes, it was going to land, and the frigate upper stage failed on Phobos Grunt, and it ended up crashing just a few days after launch. So China's wanting to get back. They kind of eschewed Russian help and said, "No, we got this, bro."
And so, that was like two windows ago, right?
That was 2 windows ago. Okay. That was 2 windows ago. So that's kind of what's coming up for Mars. I'm super stoked. It's going to be a great year for Aeolian science, if you will.
I wonder if there's a map out there that shows where all these are going to land.
There is indeed, if you go to Wikipedia, actually.
Yeah, Can you share a link? Do you have it up?
I don't have it up right now.
Hang on. I got you, Steve. I got right here.
Tell me what to Google or something.
Check the messenger.
Well, that doesn't. I don't want to pull up my messenger on.
Oh, gotcha.
Can you put it in chat? Oh wait, here. Let me just look at it. Maybe I can. Well. Okay, here's what I can do. All right.
So those are all the missions total.
Viewers, if y'all can just hold tight, I can pull this up. It's just going to take me a second.
And the big thing, and I said this in the article, the big thing to remember is that a little over 50% of all Mars missions have failed. Russian missions have failed. U.S. missions have failed. Chinese missions have failed. The only country that hasn't failed at trying Mars and actually succeeding was India, and they've only tried it one time, and the satellite's still there. So over 50% fail. So if 2 of these were to fail, it would not be surprising to me. I do hold out hope, and I'm expecting the best, but you have to also understand that the worst could happen, that these things just don't go. Like with the ExoMars mission, it may not even go because of the parachute issues they've been having.
So that was like past landing sites. I'm hoping to see something that shows.
There was like one that had past landing sites, and it had both ExoMars and the Mars 2020 rover landing sites actually highlighted in a different color.
That one that I showed you was everything. That's Mars 2020. That's ExoMars. All that is in there.
China hasn't come up with an exact site, or at least if they have, they haven't published it.
I don't see ExoMars in here.
Hold on. Let's see. There's
Pathfinder. I see Mars 2020, Beagle 2, Schiaparelli, Opportunity, Viking. I see a bunch of them, but I see Curiosity.
My apologies. Yep, I thought they were all in there. There's Insight. There's Viking 2. Okay, so Mars 2020 is basically they're planning to land like right just a little above where Beagle 2 landed or crashed, I should say, in 2003.
Yeah.
Now these distances are probably further than what they seem.
Yeah,
it's northwest of where Curiosity is. But what I was wanting to see is like how spread out they are, you know what I mean? Because they're all going to be in different parts of the planet, and so I think that really helps the likelihood that we find something. You know, don't get me wrong, I don't expect us to find life, you know, but be really freaking cool.
That'd be
You know?
crazy.
And then one of them, I remember, y'all should really go read his article on nexthorizonspaceflight.com. One of these has like a deep penetrating radar that can go like 100 meters deep or something. Isn't it like one of them has something that go like a crazy distance deep, and they can actually look for like pools of water and stuff under the surface, right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's actually Rosalind Franklin has the deep penetrating radar on it.
Okay.
So that's pretty interesting. I actually have the picture here. Hold on one second. Application window.
Man, I hope they do find me. Like, hey, y'all, guess what? We found ET. That's right. We found ET.
All right, so here's
here
the
you
map.
go. It's actually the oh, you got one?
Yeah, I've got the map where the different ones are going to land in relation to where everything else has been and is at now.
I should be able to blow this up and everybody can see it. No. Okay, wait. Oh, if I take this and move it over here and then click on you. There. Now you can all see it.
All right, so here's the map. I don't know if you can see my mouse.
Yeah, I can see your mouse.
Yeah, your landers that were just landers are in blue here.
Oh, that's still not the upcoming ones.
Yeah.
Rosalind Franklin. Okay, gotcha.
Right here.
And then there's Mars 2020.
Mars 2020.
Okay, cool.
So you definitely get like a site like Mars 2020 is pretty close to where Beagle crashed. And then Rosalind Franklin's pretty close to where Sojourner did all her little work.
Very cool.
So there you goes.
And then I do this and shrink it back. And there we go.
Excellent.
All right, cool. Yeah, and I found it in the article. It is actually the Chinese one that has, or maybe
the Chinese one has
yeah,
it.
it has the
Okay.
ground penetrating radar to image about 100 meters below the Martian surface. So very cool. That is something that hasn't been done yet. I know InSight is doing like seismology of underneath, but I think this is going to be a little bit different, right?
Yeah, with the ground penetrating radar, you're definitely going to get a much different view, depending upon their landing site, because they haven't published where they're planning on putting it. If it's closer to the poles, you're definitely probably gonna find some underground water in those areas, just based on the fact it's at the poles. It'll be frozen, but beyond that, you get into like the equator area, which is kind of where we're planning on putting boots on the ground eventually.
Yeah.
Just because it's a place where the weather's a little more, we understand it better. The polar regions, much like the sun with solar orbiter, we don't understand the polar regions as well as we understand the regions around the equator, because when you put things in orbit around the planet, that's the first place you're going to go.
Right. And then of course the poles on Mars are going to be a lot harsher on on anything you land there. They're just not going to survive as long. I mean, they probably won't make it a year, really. I mean, the Phoenix didn't make it a year, right?
No, Phoenix didn't even make it a year. Mars in and of itself is a fairly cold place. It's much further. Picture 14% of the heat of the sun, actually, from what we have now here. It's about 14% out there. So it's already a much, much colder place. And then you get up toward the poles, it's going to be
brutal.
100 times colder.
Yeah, worse than Antarctica. Right. It's colder than Antarctica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right now, yeah, because Antarctica is summer right now.
Well,
Explains that.
Yeah. What did you say, Kegel?
Nah, I just said explains that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I saw this article up the other day. It was like, oh yeah, Antarctica's warmer than like Detroit, and I'm like, well, yeah, duh, it's summer down there. Like, even at the poles, it does warm up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I do want to touch on the possible missions that are going to be selected for the Discovery program, which is like, okay, so what's the level? It's there's the flagship ones, which is like Curiosity, Mars 2020, and then below that it's because Discovery is like the lowest tier,
Yeah,
like the
Discovery's
cheapest.
the lowest. Yeah, Discovery's the lowest program.
And lowest doesn't really, it's not really the right word. It's the cheapest. It's like we want to discover things, but we're going to not
We wanna
spend
do it.
like a huge percentage of the NASA budget on it.
Yeah, that was part of the Discovery program was kind of invented as part of the faster, better, cheaper model that they started in the 2000s.
Right.
There's Discovery, and then there's New Frontiers, and then there's the flagship program. So there's like 3 levels.
There you go. That's it.
Based on like how much NASA's willing to spend on them. With your flagship programs, you're talking billions of dollars that
Right.
they're willing to put into those. With your New Frontiers programs, you're talking in the hundreds of millions, and then with like the Discovery program, they like the cap is 150 somewhere in that.
And that includes launch.
That
right?
includes launch.
Yeah. So
But,
that's going
I
to take
mean,
up a big chunk of
Yeah.
your budget is launch.
Yeah, it absolutely takes it. Well, it depends on how they're doing it. Like it could be piggybacked with something else if it has its
Or
own.
they could link up with another country and
Or link up with another country to make it happen. So they did just put out a notice today saying that they're in the final stages of selecting the next round of Discovery missions. So we're looking at something that's probably going to be 4 or 5 years down the line
before it launches.
before
or...
it actually launches.
Okay, that's not
this
too
is-
bad, you know. Like
this
usually
is
these
like
take like 10 years to go from development to actual launch, and then however long to get where they're going. I mean,
Yes, absolutely. And essentially what NASA's saying with this announcement today is, hey, these 4 programs we're going to give $3 million to and see what they do in a year.
so let's this will be a way to kind of quickly get through it, and you know maybe we'll touch on it more next week, but quickly go through what each of them are, and then let's all say which one we're most excited about, like which one we would choose if there was just one chosen.
Absolutely. So the programs are Da Vinci Plus, which is the Deep Atmosphere Venus Investigation of Noble Gases, Chemistry, and Imaging Plus.
Plus, y'all. Plus,
yes.
that's better.
That's going to
Like
have
Disney Plus, Apple Plus.
the big
Everybody
thing.
get a plus.
The plus on that one is that it's going to have an imaging component that actually is going to have cameras on a descent sphere. So they're hoping to get good imagery from in situ actually on Venus.
So a descent sphere. What is it just
Yes.
going to like enter the atmosphere and basically just crash?
Yes, essentially they're gonna poke a hole in Venus and see what happens, but they're gonna have cameras when they do it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
All right, so the next one on the list is the Io Volcanic Observer, IVO, and that is going to be a probe. It's not going to land, but it is going to orbit around Io, which is one of the moons of Jupiter, and it's looking at the volcanic activity, and they're hoping that helps them to understand the development of rocky planets better.
It's actually one of the 4 Galilean moons. So if you have a telescope or even some decent binoculars, if you look up at Jupiter, you see those 4 little white dots that are surrounding it in a line. One of those is Io.
Yes, absolutely. And then there's Trident, and Trident is designed to explore Triton, which is an icy moon of Neptune. And that's looking to understand how worlds could possibly develop life further away from the sun.
Real far.
Real far away. And it's going to be a single flyby. So much like New Horizons with Pluto.
Okay.
And then finally, there is a mission called Veritas, which is the Venus Emissivity Radio Science INSAR Topography and Spectroscopy mission. And that's going to be mapping to determine Venus's geologic history and understand why it developed so differently from Earth, because it's kind of like a twin to us, both in size and of like how it developed, but at some point it went wrong, whereas Earth did not.
How good is our understanding of like it? Like, do we have detailed maps of the surface of Venus?
We do have fairly detailed maps of the surface of Venus. The last mission that NASA did to Venus was in 1978, so it's been a while.
Okay.
So-
have we ever orbited Venus, or
Yes,
have we?
we have
Okay,
visited
so we've
Venus,
got
and
so we've gone all the way
gotten,
around it.
yes,
Right.
we've gone all the way around and we've mapped it. Between us and ESA actually focused very heavily on Venus in their beginning in the 90s and the 2000s.
And it was Russia or Soviets, whichever one that did the lander, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which lasted a few hours because
It lasted a few hours. We got like 3 pictures back from that, and
hey.
you can find them online. And
This is
they're
pretty
not very
dang
good
hot.
pictures.
It's pretty
Yeah,
dang
it's
hot there.
incredibly hot. It's the hottest planet in the solar system, even though it's not the closest one to the sun.
Let's see. Let's see. Lander on Venus. That's probably all I need. Right? Images. Come on. Come on, Google. Give it to me. There you go. There's one. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's a couple. Yeah. Yeah, these are straight up from Venus, y'all. Oh, I wanted to. Come on. Open image in new tab. There we go. Oh, it's not any bigger. Okay. Well, yeah, that's one of very few images from Venus before the 900 degree Fahrenheit
Before
or
it
Celsius.
melted.
Yeah, basically melted, and then the pressure is insane there, so it didn't last long. It's impressive that we got these images, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one is what interests you guys the most? I'll go first. I don't care because I want to see pictures of those volcanoes, man.
Yeah.
I like on Io, dude. I was kind of hoping that you'd say that it was a lander. I didn't really expect it, but I want to see, like, if you look here, let's just pull up a picture of Io.
Io's a pretty cool place, and there was a Michael Jackson movie that used to play at Epcot that was Captain Io.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it's such a cool looking place, man. It is so colorful.
Yeah.
Here, let's see. Let's show you guys.
It's a photographer's dream.
Yeah, look how colorful this place is. This is like, I think of like Yellowstone when I see this. Like, honestly,
Yeah,
dude.
it's incredibly. It's the only place that we know that there's active volcanoes other than Earth in the whole solar system.
Yeah.
Like, there's volcanoes on Mars, but they've been dead from what
Who
we can
knows?
tell, thousands of years.
At least, yeah.
So, but Io, we actually see active volcanoes, and it's very interesting because what's actually driving those volcanoes, as far as we understand, is the gravity of Jupiter pushes and pulls on the planet because it's tidally locked. It's very close to Jupiter.
Oh, it is tidally locked?
Yes, it's
Okay.
tidally locked, and it pushes and it pulls on the planet, and that actually heats up the interior and causes this actual activity, all this volcanic activity.
Yeah.
So very exciting. Anything to do with Jupiter's moons is very exciting. I'm a big fan of Saturn's moons as well, and Enceladus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
That's definitely somewhere we need to go, and Europa, which is a Jovian moon.
Yeah.
Now, a mission, anything to do with Neptune would be really cool because the last pictures we had of Neptune were from Voyager, the close-up pictures. And
close up.
If I'm remembering right, and I do this all the time, I heard it on a podcast this week, and they were talking about this stuff, and we actually can get better pictures from Earth. Now, they're not great, but we can actually get better pictures from Earth now than what we got with Voyager.
Yes.
So two missions to Venus are in the running, and then one to Io and one to Triton.
As much as I want to see Io, and I really do want to see Io, I think Da Vinci Plus is probably gonna win at least one of these. Now they can fund 2 of these based on the Discovery program. So if I were gonna pick 2, I'd go Da Vinci Plus and try it myself.
Right on.
Just need to get Tom Hanks behind the program.
Why? What's he gonna do?
He using that Da Vinci Code.
Oh.
Dan Brown's gonna write the book about the mission.
Why don't we have like celebrities just throwing money at NASA? Like, okay, well, you want some more money to do more missions? Here, have a few mil.
Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos.
Well, I'm okay with it. He's doing his rocket company, but I want to see Brad
I think
Pitt
this
or
is-
somebody, you know?
I want
Like,
to say celebrity wise, they just don't want to deal with it because there's such a large majority of America that
yeah,
doesn't understand or doesn't believe in the space program.
yeah.
And so I think they would probably hurt them. You know?
Like hurt their reputation if they were
Yeah.
donating money. Which I don't think
Or
there's
being
actually a
publicized
mechanism.
about it.
Do what?
Yeah.
There's not a mechanism
There's
for
not a
donations. to
yeah. You
NASA.
can't you can't donate straight to NASA. Oh well.
Yeah. You could promote it and talk about it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you got like
Yeah.
Gary Sinise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kegel? Which one do you want to see?
I like that Da Vinci Plus.
Yeah.
That one sounds like that's pretty cool.
And actually, that one might give us some insight on, maybe the possibility of doing like a Star Wars style Cloud City someday. That's something that legit engineers and space folks talk about. Like, we could do it. It's not that we don't understand how. You make it where your space station can float in the upper atmosphere of Venus, and maybe this could give us some insight to maybe be able to do that sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Matt, Cutshaw, what do you got?
We got a Death Star coming, y'all. Gonna make a Death Star, man.
What do you favor?
I'm right there with you with Ion, man. In any mission that goes up that involves getting back some pictures or some kind of video or something, I'm totally down with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love data too. Don't get me wrong. I really love being able to get data and like hearing about the data that was collected. I think that's freaking awesome. But at the same time, I want to see something. I want to see some pictures, because these are places. I mean, when you really look at it, these are places that we are personally like we're never going to see in our lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, we not even probably our grandkids' kids, might not even see this stuff. So being able to see pictures from at least a lander or a rover or whatever, you know what I mean, it's just awesome. You know what I mean? Like,
pretty pictures. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're all going to have cameras on board. I think NASA has learned that to get public support, you need cameras. Like, there was a camera on Juno just for PR. Like, and they've produced some of the most incredible images of Jupiter that any of us have ever seen, seeing those swirly cloud tops and stuff. You need that stuff. If you're NASA, you need that public support. And the public can't get their minds all around. Like, all of us can't understand all of this, but what we do understand are pretty pictures.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's like
pretty pictures speak languages that no one else speaks.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not a bad thing that we can't all understand it. I'm glad that we have people that do understand it, but the public wants to see the pretty pictures. And then maybe that'll draw them in and they'll read a little bit about it. You know what I mean? So we got to have those pretty pictures.
Pretty picture.
So with that, I think we've reached the end. That's an hour and a half. That's a long one for pressing for flight. Let's see. Let's see. I've been ignoring chat here. Lens cap incident from the Soviet lander on Venus is amazing. What? Lens cap incident? Harry, come on, man. What are you talking about? Lens cap incident? That they'd leave the lens cap on one? Oh man. Well, I know that with Curiosity, they had lens caps on there that would basically protect the lenses during the landing process, and then they flipped off. Maybe it was just Harry, if you can elaborate a little bit real quick before we close out. Like, what did they do?
Well, the name of the mission that you just pulled up that picture from was Venera 16. That tells you there were 15 before that were attempted at least.
Oh, that's a good point. Harry, where you at, man? What's this lens cap incident?
I think Harry's talking about Insight. I'm pretty sure
he said the Soviet lander on Venus.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, he's probably typing.
Quick search just says, let's see, they experienced a lot of failures because on the cameras, the lens cap would not come off after the spacecraft.
Okay. So it wasn't something forgotten. It was that just the mechanism failed.
Yeah.
Venera 14 craft had the misfortune of ejecting the camera lens cap directly under the surface compressibility tester arm and returned information for the compressibility of the lens cap rather than the surface.
Oh, no.
All that pressure from that lens cap.
That's
Oh,
beautiful, man.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Harry, for steering us in that direction. Hopefully that never happens again. Kegel, do you have are you ready to play us out?
Sure can.
Thanks for being in the chat, everybody. Oh,
What?
thanks for being in chat, everyone. Thanks.
I thought we were ready to go.
Yeah, sorry.
Bye, guys.
Sorry. I just remembered that it's always a good idea to thank people watching and listening and everything. So thank you guys for listening. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Pressing4Flight. That's a number 4 in there. Yeah, thanks Matt Jordan for joining us. We'll have you back more. I mean, basically just any old time we're gonna have you back. All right, thanks everybody. Good show.
Don't forget you can get the audio version.
Yeah, you can get the audio version
as a podcast.
Yeah,
wherever you. All right.
Shutdown sequence initiated. Shutting down.